Yeah, that's true. All right. 20 seconds. Took me 20 seconds to get viewers here. And a bunch of them. Hello, Ruth. Hello, everybody else. Super Gnome 369. Hello. I don't recall your name. I think I'll remember that. Beat 'em back. Hey. Hi, 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 hi. Always amazes me. I just tried to go live on a Facebook page with 25,000 subscribers. Sat there for 10 minutes looking pretty. Nothing. Crickets. I go here, I got what, 7,500 and something last I checked subscribers. Y'all are on the ball. Hello, Elvira. I missed your name. I'm sorry. I'm Uncle Birch. You should know that because you're on my channel, right? So you know why we're here, right? Do you? You should. You must be a subscriber to even know that I went live, because I never tell anybody when I'm going to do this. I rarely plan this kind of thing. So I do this thing. Apparently I did 2 Ask Uncle Birch 14s, so we're going to call this Ask Uncle Birch 15. Here's how it works in case you're new to the game. You ask me a question, I might answer it. Try not to be long-winded. They pop up in this little bubble. You know, if I have to press more, I'll probably miss what you said. Copy your questions, because I will probably miss them several times while other people are asking questions. Then you can paste it again until you finally get, hello Emerald City Mystic, until you finally get an answer. What books do you recommend in developing clairvoyance? Buckland's book Spirit Communication was a good book for that. I don't know of many good books for that. There's a lot of techniques for that. Not so much good books. There's I've seen some good some videos on YouTube about that from some other people that I subscribe to, but not a whole lot of books come to mind for developing clairvoyance, except for Buckland's Book of Spirit Communication. Goes way beyond spirit communication, and there's no complete books, but when Buckland uses the word complete, it's pretty damn close. I'll give you that. So, what if you encounter a person that's less knowledgeable than you and want to argue about what you should be doing? Oh, well, shit. That happens to me all day, every day. I look a lot younger than I am, and I've been around the craft longer than most people's parents. So I get that. I come off as some authority figure, and then people try to argue with me with no data. What I'm going to say to you is, you said, what do I do? Well, what I do is I never react from an emotion, and I'll step away from the screen if I'm feeling too emotional about it. I want logic, reason, and evidence. And if I don't have logic, reason, and evidence, I'm going to win the argument. You can get emotional, stomp your feet, call me names, call me rude, all kinds of shit. I'm going to make valid points, and if you can't accurately dispute my points with logic, reason, and evidence, I win the game. That's how society works. That's how our world functions. It doesn't function on emotions and outbursts, except if you're a Trump supporter. That's the only time that maintain your composure. And when all else fails, this one's always good. If you're going to get in this argument with people and you're going to go back and forth and they really start to irritate you because they don't know shit, go Socratic. The Socratic method. Every time they say something, ask them a question. And just keep asking them questions. Keep asking them questions. Why? Who? What? Why? Where? When? How? Why do you believe it? Just keep asking questions. And then they'll stumble all over themselves and ruin their own arguments. And you will never have been the bad guy, except you ask some questions. Hello, Biscuits. Those are some good questions right there. So yeah, that happens to me all the time. I do this kind of thing as a community service and to keep my teaching muscles strong, because I'm in this teaching frenzy. I started a class, a year-to-day class in March, started one May 1st. The next one's coming August 1st. I'm in a teaching frenzy right now. So I go to all these noob sites and make my presence known and answer questions, and I always get arguments because there's people that don't know of what I speak. And a lot of times people think I'm holding that over their head and trying to act like an authority figure. If they just shut the fuck up, I'll teach them. Same thing with you. You know, shut the fuck up, I'll teach you that thing. I'm not holding anything over anybody's head, but I do know my shit. And if you come at me trying to say you know your shit and I don't know your shit, well, we're gonna have a battle of logic, reason, and evidence, and I will win the day every fucking time. And I'm a cocky motherfucker with reason. I deserve my cockiness and my arrogance. I fucking earned it. See this chip on my shoulder? It's glued on there, man. Try and knock it off. Dare you. Now, I know you all are not going to do that. But, okay, I saw a couple other questions. If I'm on a rant or answering a question, trying to answer a question, because I try not to look at it, or it totally confuses me. So copy your questions so you can paste them again, because I'll probably miss your questions several times. Try not to ask me a question when I'm answering a question, and try not to be too long-winded are the two main rules. And let's see, is it okay to mix practices, Golden Dawn with traditional witchcraft? Ruth Ellen. Well, some practices yes, some practices no, but Golden Dawn and ceremonial magic have been borrowed from witchcraft, or been borrowed by witchcraft as far back as we can go. Back when Leland was studying the witches of Tuscany, to do his book Astrology, Gospel of the Witches, he found that the witches of Tuscany had two main texts that they tended to be studying from, and they were the Keys of Solomon, which were one book at the time, the Lesser and Greater Keys of Solomon, and the Gospel of Aradia, which was a harder book to come about. It was handwritten and passed through families, but so we can see all the way back there, 1700s, late 1700s, the witches of Tuscany were studying the origins of ceremonial magic. From Solomon comes the Golden Dawn, comes Thelema, comes everything fucking Crowley did, all of that. Solomon's going to be their ancestor. Solomon, Agrippa, Abramelin, the old mages of old, and witches have been borrowing from that forever. The circle that Gerald Gardner came up with for his Wicca was largely borrowing pentagrams in the air with their blade. We're going all the way back to Solomon. We're going all the way back to ceremonial magic. We've been borrowing from ceremonial magic forever because of all the holes in witchcraft. So many things lost over the times of persecution. So absolutely, those mix. But I mix systems that people say you can't mix. I'm also a Polaro, and you're not supposed to mix with other things, but I have seen that other Poleros are using the same work cunning, the same herb magic that I'm using. The only difference is, in addition to herbs and roots, they also have sticks that they're using. When I was first studying Palo, a lot of the spells were hoodoo spells done in front of the print. On the pot, actually. So other magics are often done in those traditions, even though those people say you're not supposed to mix those traditions. I mix them all the time. Whatever my Lucero says that I can mix, I mix. And a lot of times it's witchcraft. Great questions. I saw other questions that I missed, so that's why I'm saying copy your questions so you can paste them again. It moves kind of fast. A lot of people have thrown questions at me, and I try not to look when I'm answering a question or on a rant because it will totally throw me off. But witchcraft keeps you young. It did for me. I know it is for me. There's other people not so much. Depending on what kind of witchcraft they're doing, and probably some of my original magics in witchcraft when I was 13 years old were about attraction. Absolutely. I was a teenage boy, so absolutely probably did those works, and they're still working. I don't know if I really did an internal youth spell back then because I was young. I don't think about shit like that. But some people, some people's magics make them age quickly. I've been a pretty nice guy for most of it. But I won't call myself a good witch. Do you have any suggestions about how to determine whether or not someone should be doing an uncrossing ritual? Yeah, I have several videos. On this channel, there's how to break a curse. I think I had to shoot it 3 times. I think the first time did not work well on smartphones. If you're new to the party, my old videos that don't work on smartphones, somehow you plug in headphones to your smartphone and they work. I don't know why. Never been able to fix those. But yeah. But so I've got at least 3 different versions of how to break a curse. You know, some of the basics are, you know, how are you sleeping around 3 in the morning? And if you're not sleeping well, we want to know the conditions. Like, okay, what are you finding yourself waking up at 3 in the morning? What's your impulse upon waking? Do you have a flight or fight response? Do you feel like you're fighting with somebody? Do you feel like running away? Is your impulse to jump out of bed and turn on the light? These are things that our subconscious knows that will disrupt spiritual activity and hexes. And when we're asleep, that's when we're at our most vulnerable. And if something should come in and attack us, or have potential to attack us, we have instinctual things built into our DNA from back when everything wanted to eat us. That will wake us up. Our animal consciousness will wake us up, but it can't really communicate to us in English. So you find yourself running to the light to turn it on. Well, absolutely, an electrical light source in a darkened room will dissipate all spiritual forces in that room. They will recollect. So that's the time to be burning things and waving your arms around. Another thing I look at, you know, feelings of impending dread and doom for much too long. And periods of bad luck lasting over a year. Unless you're the type of person causing yourself bad luck, which actually a curse can make you do, you should have up times and down times. If you've been down for more than a year, that's unnatural. The sun has done an entire cycle. The moon has done 13 cycles. You're still in the same cycle, that's unnatural. That's unnaturally imposed upon you by someone or something. Definitely something to look at. And it never hurts to do the things to remove a curse. When people would come into my shop back in the day, you know, believing they were under a curse, you know, my first thing to figure out is like, all right, well, are they under a curse or are they crazy? Or then we go further. Are they under a curse that made them crazy? That's often the case and an easy curse to do. All you've got to do is disturb their REM sleep for about a week at around 3 in the morning, and they'll go crazy and damage their own lives and do your work for you, and we'll never seek a cure for that. So even the ones that are crazy and maybe don't have a physical curse, they still need to subconsciously do something they see themselves do, and it's going to be the same steps. So even if it's not actually a curse, going through the same steps of removing a curse can remove your subconscious curse, your subconsciously opposed curse, or an actual curse. George Phillips, not every night, but on occasion. Yeah, on those occasions you need to do something. Do not go back to sleep. Throw your shields up, wave your arms around, burn things, cleanse the room. And in Hoodoo, they say don't go back to sleep in the same position that you were in. Now, I don't really know if spirits and hexes can be thrown off such things, but those are things that people say in those situations. But definitely don't just roll over and go, oh wow, I'm all freaked out and feel like something's attacking me, I should go back to sleep. No, dumbass. I'm Uncle Birch, and I approve all of my messages.
Tomorrow's our 1-year anniversary since we moved here.
Whoa. Right on.
We've watched the floor once. We have to get tomorrow to wash.
Best way to remove an emotional blockage. Well, that's gonna be a spell on yourself. That's gonna be easy to do. You'll be able to, you know, make a doll, something else representing yourself. Probably with this kind of thing, I would go sigil magic. Because sigil magic allows us to turn language into a magical symbol that we can do anything to. Ultimately, your particular thing is subconscious, psychological, but magic and psychology cannot really be unattached. A lot of psychology comes from the symbology that we use in witchcraft and the occult, and there are two prime sources. You got Jung and Freud. Freud, everything was symbolically sexual, which it is in paganism. Jung approached psychology through mysticism, attempting to come up with a way to reproduce a thing called gnosis that he saw in these monks that he was studying. From that, he comes up with hypnosis and many other variations on the idea of gnosis. Jung's psychology was entirely mystical, and probably more mystical than pure psychological, but these two things are joined, and the subconscious mind is where the magic comes from. There is several types of sigil magic where you make the sigil and you program the sigil into your head by making it be the last thing you see before you go to sleep. You can charge this with sexual activity, with any other ritual charging techniques that you have. Ultimately, after a little while, you want to destroy the sigil. You want to burn the sigil and maybe rub the ashes into your hair, since this is on you. But that is one method where sigil magic is a psychological magic. And the main method for that is making that sigil be the last thing you see before you go to sleep for several days at the very least. And you can make any sentence you come up with into a sigil. See a lot of people saying hi. Can moving break a curse? A curse on a place? Yes. A curse on a person? No. That's going to follow you. But places, you want to cleanse the hell out of every place before you move into it. It's much more complicated to cleanse the place once your furniture and boxes are in the house. So, but you know, there's a documentary I'm in, or a series of documentaries coming out called Cursed Films here in Hollywood that I was interviewed in. It was all about movie sets and movies themselves being cursed. The Omen, Amityville Horror, Damien, and The Exorcist, amongst others. And these were all about, you know, the movie sets themselves and the movies themselves being cursed. Poltergeist. Did I say Poltergeist? Oh, yeah, no. You know what? I think I said Amityville horror, but I meant Poltergeist. Thank you very much. That was the wrong one.
Yeah.
I think there was something in Poltergeist where they actually had human remains as one of the props that caused some shit. Or that might have been Poltergeist.
So a lot of the actors died in real life.
Yeah, and that was in The Omen. That happened a lot. The Wizard of Oz. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that one too. But places can be cursed. Houses can be cursed. So a curse on a house, a curse in a place, moving can break it. If the curse is on you and you move, that still gives you some time. A lot of the shit is built up in this house back here that you just left. It's going to take some time to follow you to the new place. So when you get to the new place, man, cleanse, throw up your wards, invoke what you want in that house: happiness, prosperity, love, security, these kind of things you want in the house. So it can buy you a little bit of time until the muck follows you. I saw a couple other questions there, but again, you know, try not to ask me a question when I'm answering a question, because I will look away. If you see me look away, I'm ignoring your question, so it doesn't throw me off. How do you recommend an increase to aura strength? Increase to aura strength is roughly a visualization process. You can pull up light from any source or pull down light from any source and push it into your aura and expand your aura outwards. psychic self-defense and well-being. I think it was Dion Fortune. Sold one of the better books of it. Her psychic self-defense technique was building up a special shield in your aura and pushing it outwards. But basically meditation techniques for that one. All right. I saw other questions, but they faded away. Again, copy your questions, they paste them again. It's a good policy. Why is not everybody using magic? Are the people still trying to hide knowledge? Absolutely. Historically, at least the societies that we can study, we know that the first emperor of Rome to declare witchcraft and magic a crime had a court magician. And then the same thing happens in Greece. The same thing happens all through the Middle Ages. We know of, we see Arthur in the court of, Merlin in the court of Arthur. This was rather common. Kings, emperors, rulers, all the way back to the dawn of time, all had a court magician. And many of those people declared magic against the law and made it a death offense. Even when the Christians did it, when the Catholic Church did it, they had seized the best witchcraft books, the best magical books. They had a ritualistic practice based on the religions they conquered, based on stolen from the religions they conquered. They made it illegal so they would be the only ones to possess magic. And that's all the way. We see that in the Bible. The story of King Saul. King Saul has made witchcraft a stonable offense and is allegedly hunting witches and putting them to death. Comes a time that King Saul's priests cannot invoke the spirit of Samael. And Samael is a prophetic spirit in his system. It's really important. There's a lot to Samael. His priest could not invoke him. He could not get him to come forth to answer Saul's questions. Wise in Bible is a code word for witch, wizard, magician, mystic. And in some texts, it's the witch of Endor. He knows where she is. He knows where to find her. Allegedly, he's hunting her. But he's not. Because when push comes to shove and he needs some help, he needs to seek a witch's help for his problem. And he knows exactly where to find her. And he goes on a pilgrimage and he sees her. She invokes Samael. Unfortunately, Samael comes forth. And what does he say? In tomorrow's battle, King Saul, you will be defeated and ultimately perish. Maybe Samael didn't want to, bring bad news. He didn't want to answer that fucking question. But King Saul got a witch to call him up anyways. And sure enough, next day, King Saul is dead. Witch of Endor goes on. There's a long witchy life out there, wherever in the Middle East somewhere, not hunted anymore by King Saul. She never was being hunted by King Saul. Historically, everybody who has made a law against witchcraft and magic did so they would be the only people with magic. And the Catholic Church is definitely not innocent of that. And I think that was the question I was answering. I hope so. Got me all worked up on a rant. I am Uncle Birch. I am in a teaching frenzy, getting ready for my August 1st year in a day course in all things witchcraft, and do this thing to keep myself active, learning the stuff that new witches will ask, and a community service to you. Somebody asked me about chakras. Chakras is not really my thing. I recognize that a lot of witchcraft borrowed from the Eastern mysticisms. Gardner borrowed from the Eastern mysticism because they had more meditation shit than everybody else. And the stuff Gardner was publishing said that we needed to meditate. So I recognize that we borrowed a lot of their shit, but their philosophies are not so much my philosophies. I never get that much into chakra work, not my thing. But my thing within that is the 4 lesser recognized chakras, those in the palms of the hand and the bottoms of the feet. Those I work. Somebody just threw up a very long question. I hope you copied it so you can throw it again. Your questions appear for a very short amount of time, and if I'm talking, I won't look. And when I look, your question may fade before I have a chance to look at it. So, whatever that question was, try your luck again. We will just stare at each other for a minute while you type. How important are moon cycles in spell work? Damn important. The moon moves fluids, okay? If we have a lake big enough, there will be waves based on the moon. The cycles of the moon. We are 80 some odd percent water. We will be moved by the moon. So, waxing cycles for bringing things, waning cycles for taking things away. But I always try and say, it's like, you know what? It might be a waning moon and the rent's due and you got to do something, man. Change the way you think about it. You don't want to work against a force. You don't want to have resistance to your magic. You can help it. So we track all these different cycles so we can not only not resistance, but we're throwing something into a moving stream that's already moving towards our goal when we're working with the moon cycles. But we're over here on the waning moon, the rent needs to be paid. How about you banish the obstacles in between you and the money? How about you do road opening work over here? I always say whenever you banish, you must invoke. So invoke that shit afterwards. Banish it during the waning moon and invoke it at the new moon. Okay. That wasn't really a question. What do you think about 2 different ways I can't even read the whole question. It's too long-winded. Talking about the psychological and the magical connection, they are one. They are one. Psychology comes to us from mysticism. Even Freud's version, totally clinical, was all based on these symbols. Everything Freud saw was a sexual symbol. Every stick was a penis. Every vessel was a yoni. Does that sound familiar? We do that too. Everything. The maypole is God's penis. We dance around it at Beltane. All of it. And Freud was the non-mystical part of psychology. There was 2 main parts, and the other part was absolutely mystical. The subconscious mind is where the witchcraft happens. A huge portion of the shit that you did in your circle is just triggering things in your subconscious. And tomorrow, after your money spell, you may, for some weird reason, decide to take a left instead of a right, where you find a $100 bill lying on the ground. Was that mystical, or was that psychological, or are they connected? Divination, this comes up along a lot. The word divination implies the divine, that God moved the tarot cards, move the runes, move the bones. But then the psychological mind is so powerful that even though I'm not looking at the tarot cards, my subconscious mind sees every tarot card as I'm flipping it. And it's not a miracle for my thumbs to manipulate those cards into a pattern, because my subconscious mind already knows the answer to the question. Could a moon conjunct natal Neptune be causing weird visualizations that I've been experiencing? Yeah. Yes. The moon. The moon causes weird visualization. Part of training the mind for visualization and magic is focusing on the moon, putting the moon in a triangle, tilting your gaze until the moon sits right here on your thumbs, and 3 beams of light can visually be seen coming down and hitting you right here. Doing that over and over and over again is quite stimulating to that portion of the mind. I just gave you a chunk of gold, man. Write that down. Write it down. We're doing Ask Uncle Birch. I'm getting myself ready for the August 1st Year in a Day course. Will you talk about magical ink? Well, sure. Okay. Lean in close, kids. What I'm about to say is going to piss some people off. The recipe in voodoo and in most magic for dragon's blood ink, dove's blood ink, bat's blood ink, it's the same fucking recipe. It's the same recipe, and it's going to piss off a lot of vendors. Not going to help me sell more of the different inks. It's the same recipe. Just dragon's blood sounds more volatile. Dove's blood sounds more passive. Bat's blood sounds more intense. They're the same recipe. The main thing for any of these inks that you want, 3 drops of your blood in ink. And most people aren't going to tell you that. The inks are replacing a very old idea of writing signing a thing in blood. You've heard of that, right? It tends to impart a certain finality and importance to that. But really hard to do. Blood coagulates. Unless you stick the pen right into your fucking vein right away, you stick the quill in there and write with it right away, you're not going to get through a whole sentence until your blood coagulates. So, the consecration for these things, the idea for these blood inks was a way to duplicate the process of writing things in blood. Your blood needs to be in the ink. That's what I have to say about that. How do you recommend a pre-operation divination be done? Pre-operation divination. Well, I tend to do tarot. I tend to do tarot, but doing a reading on yourself in tarot is not a good idea. So, in that particular instance, I would do the yes or no spread. That kind of reading you can do. You shuffle the cards, shuffle the cards, shuffle the cards. You're going to do 3 piles of cards. Set down a card into the one pile, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to stop at the first ace or 13 cards. To the next pile. Stop the first ace or 13 cards. Next pile. Stop the first ace or 13 cards. If you got no aces, no. 1 ace, you might need to do a little bit more work. Not too likely that spell is going to work. Maybe the other cards that are left over tell you something, why. 2 aces, like, yeah, but look at that third card. Third card might be something you have to overcome to make that spell manifest. 3 cards is yes. So 3 is yes, 2 is yeah, but 1 card, nah. No aces, no. That's what I really recommend. Are blood magic spells undoable or permanent? Signing a thing in blood, that kind of blood magic, is rather permanent. It takes us back to pacts. That's where that idea comes from. It's the old magicians making pacts. with demons and other spirits. Signing a thing in blood's pretty permanent. Those kind of blood magics tend to be pretty permanent. Magics can't really be undone. Even curses. When I take on a client to remove a curse, I'm not destroying the curse. I'm transforming the energy of the curse into another thing. Energy is neither destroyed or created. We are bound by the laws of physics. The laws of metaphysics are a little bit more malleable on certain. Not destroy that energy. We can change that energy into something else. That's my answer to that, I guess. Hell of a crowd. We're doing Ask Uncle Birch. Try not to ask me a question while I'm answering a question. Try not to be too long-winded. These are questions fade from the page. Can you tell us how to use personal natal chart to work with natal planets instead of general planetary position? No. I can't. I do enough astrology to do magic. I know enough astrology to do magic. I have a question about natal charts. I'll probably ask Marta over here. And in listening to some of the stuff that she studied, there's some things that kind of rock my world about that. She started watching Jade Soul Luna here on YouTube. And if you watch his astrology, it's going to rock your world. And he pissed off a lot of astrologers because he was the first person that I saw put this forward, and absolutely it's fucking true as hell. The originators of tropical astrology failed to calculate the wobble of the Earth's axis into their calculations, making tropical astrology less accurate over time. The precession of the equinoxes is not calculated into their equations, and I'm not a fucking math person, but I can see that equation makes it less accurate with time. And then help me out, Marta. So if you're born in the middle of the month, your sign stays the same. In Vedic.
Okay, no.
Okay.
Don't say so let's say normally.
Say normally.
Let's say, Leo is July 23rd to August 22nd. So in Vedic, it'll be like August 15th to September 15th. So it kind of starts in the middle. So anybody who's born like later, like I was born August 21st.
Yeah.
So since that's after August 15th, I'm still Leo. And you're still Cancer because you're July 20th.
Yeah.
If I was born like August 8th, I'd be a Cancer. If you're born July 8th, I'd be a Gemini. So.
Yeah. Okay, so I hope you heard that. So sidereal, Vedic, and there's another Alexandrian astrology, which is pretty much Vedic. Those are more accurate. Those calculated the wobble of the Earth's axis, and in those systems, you may not be the birth sign that you think you are. But the birth signs that I find within those systems make more sense to who I am than tropical. But then I'll take it another level. I read this, I read the thing, I watched his videos, it's okay. I have apps on my phone. I have the sky map. And when it said the moon was in Aries, I held up, and from the perspective where the moon should have been traveling with Aries until it jumped to the next sign. When it said the moon was in Aries, I looked up with my sky map, and no, the moon was here, Aries was here. I could see the inaccuracy with my eyes, with my technology. And I can see that Jade Soul Luna and everybody else's was right. I can see that. I may not understand a lot of the astrology, but I could understand fucking planets and stars and where they are. And if the moon is in Aries, I should see the moon in the sign of Aries, and the moon should move with the constellation of Aries until it jumps into its next sign. I did not see that, and I have not seen that. since I started looking at that. Tropical astrology is off. And I don't care if I pissed you off. I don't care, if you're an astrologer, maybe you need to switch. I don't know. Sorry about that. Truth is truth. It is what it is. What are your thoughts on the Goetia? Well, I've been reading the Goetia since I was 13. The first book I picked off the shelves was the Greater Key of Solomon. When my wife, this little hottie over here, wandered into my witch store one day, she bought the Goetia, Diary of a Drug Fiend, and there was another Crowley book, and I was already admiring her, but then her book selections made me admire her on an entirely different level, shall we say. So yeah, I've been working with the Goetia my whole life, working with those symbols, all of those things. That Solomon's work led to many other magics, and his Solomon's original Sigil magic leads us to Chaos Magic's version of Sigil magic. In Solomon's view, he was binding spirits to symbols. In our language today, spirit means a lot more than ghost. Spirit is the embodiment of an idea, the energy surrounding a concept, the spirit of a thing, the spirit of a place, the spirit of an idea. These are also called spirit. And in that, chaos magic has evolved that idea of binding spirits to symbols, binding the spirit of a thing to a symbol. Not just ghosts anymore. How can we find out in which sign the moon truly is in the moment? Well, if you have an Android, it's Google Sky Maps. If you have an iPhone, it's Skyview. I think it's Skyview. I don't know if the Galaxy's different. I mean, it used to be just Android or iPhone. Everybody got an app. Everybody got an app for that, where you can point it up. And if you don't have that, you need to fucking have that. I mean, you're waiting, when's the moon to come up? It's like, I've used that so many times at a full moon ritual. It's like, I'll point over there. It's like, okay, the moon's right behind that mountain. Moon's gonna come up, a couple seconds, sharp on that. It's like, well, I want to know anything I see in the sky, I point it at, and it tells me what that is. So if I'm looking at the moon, and it says the moon's in Aries, I should see Aries behind the moon from my perspective. And I should see that until the moon moves into the next sign with my eyes. So our technology is how. You have the entirety of human knowledge in the palm of your hands. You can Google anything, and there's an app for everything. There's this one, Ingresses. I think it's INGRESESS. Great app for tracking all of the planetary movements and everything going on. It's probably more leaning towards tropical astrology, but I think it has a setting to change it to sidereal. So that's that. We're doing Ask Uncle Birch. Great questions so far. Oh, God. Doing this all afternoon, and then in a couple hours we'll have to do the podcast. Jesus. Constantly on stage around here. She keeps giving me these looks that are very distracting. I'm glad you weren't answering the question. When can we smoke together? Come over to Germany. Yeah, I have friends in Germany. I don't. Whenever I travel the world, Germany's low on my list. Although I have, plenty of DNA from there, and all the Germanic, Norwegians, all those countries. But yeah, Germany's just low on my list. Yeah. I don't even know, is it legal there? It's probably legal there. You guys probably are far ahead of us with the legal weed and stuff. Amsterdam's not too far, I guess. But yeah, I think before I did Ask Uncle Birch, I think, you know, first time I did this kind of thing, it was smoke a bowl with Birch. Not that I couldn't do that. Illegal as hell, huh? Not too bad. That's double smoking, kids. An oil or spell for success in creating creative writing endeavor. Well, you know, my wife's a writer and an editor, but I don't know if she's done much magic towards that. Somebody was asking, you know, an oil for a creative writing endeavor. That's your field, but I don't know if you've done much magic to that.
I haven't done any magic.
She's too good of a writer to have to do magic. Yeah, rosemary. Rosemary, sage, mace. That's what I say. Now, magic is not doing whatever you feel, but I've been doing it long enough that whatever I feel is right. Sorry about that, but that's going to be the oil you want for that. See, you'll see. All right, somebody said something about DMT. I think I did it once. Patterns. I saw patterns that exist in South American artwork everywhere. The universe was made of a pattern that I see in South American artwork. That's what I recall from DMT. It was quite a thing. I could see the matrix of it all. We're doing Ask Uncle Birch. What are your thoughts on Ars Notoria? Ars Notoria. Man, that's been a while. All of the Ars books are old ceremonial magic books. You see the word Ars, what it means here, the Book of Notoria. And my thoughts, I liked the book. Of course, it came across my shelves quite a few times. No specific thoughts, but I always liked the darker kind of things. My first book I purchased was the Book of Black Magic and of Pacts, which is now a paperback. I think you can get it paperback. The Book of Black Magic and I think it's just the Book of Black Magic now. The Book of Black Magic and of Pacts was a large leather-bound book with gold writing, and I would carry it around high school like it was a Bible. And I look like we would call a goth now, but there was no goths yet. I'm OG, original goth, before there was goth. People didn't fuck with me. Ars Notoria, yes. Matter of fact, no, that's the wrong reference. But yeah, I totally remember the book. It was a good book. The darker things, I was taught magic in a scary way. Mom always found the darkest way to deliver her message, and as such, it stuck. That's why fairy tales are so gory. The message sticks. It's an old art form. The people once knew. Yes, call the book. No specific thoughts about the book right now. Do you sell uncrossing kits or just individual items? Usually individual items. I haven't really gotten into kits as much. I did that when I was when I had the brick and mortar store. You had to have this kind of stuff on the shelves. You know, back when I was in the brick and mortar store, you have to put up with a lot of retail. You know, a lot of these trinkets. Now I just sell to practitioners. I like that better. I like that better. But yeah, I don't sell the kits. Usually, you know, like my video, How to Break a Curse, will lay out certain ingredients for doing that. That's your kit. Order those things. Good question. I don't want to make it too easy. All right, we're doing Ask Uncle Birch. I'll probably give it about 10 more minutes, even though we got a lot of people in here on the channel all day. Got a podcast to do in a couple hours. I might have to go live somewhere else too. Can we go? Is your Hex Fest? Will your Hex Fest presentation be available for you? Will my Hex Fest presentation be available for your year-in-a-day students? I have no idea. I don't know if they video that stuff. I've never been before. You know, if I was gonna go, I wasn't just gonna go, you know, to New Orleans in August and watch some workshops. People gotta ask me. You know, I got a lot of friends doing the conjure galas and that kind of thing. That, you know, if nobody's ever asked me, I'd do that too. But you know, I'm gonna go to teach stuff. I don't go around to learn stuff from more workshops and hang out. So I don't know. You know, if it is recorded, I would own certain, you know, it wouldn't be all mine. It would be partially the person that shot it, and it's my content too. So I would own that. So I would maybe do something with that. Having said that, some of my the courses I'm teaching at HexFest, Magical Warfare, are based on a series that I've been doing on my Gumroad channel, gumroad.com/witch school, which is of course WITCHSKEWL, and there it's called Spiritual Warfare. So based off of that work, but and some other stuff that I'm kind of working on right now, book stuff. But not stuff that I've done yet on Gumroad. I have not done. I did one that Crush the Enemy. Crush the Enemy is one of the things I'm doing at HexFest, and that will, you know, be partially based on the same work. The other two workshops that I'm doing at HexFest are not based on stuff that I've yet done on Gumroad. I will probably do a video on each of those subjects after HexFest. But I don't want to take anything away from HexFest. It's my first time doing this kind of thing, stepping out into the whole festival world. And it's like, you know, just because nobody asked me. Kind of threatening to some people, but, you know, more people ask me, I'd do more festivals, you know, as long as, you know they could, especially HexFest, where, you know, they're paying for the hotel and the plane ticket, or one of the plane tickets, you know. Not all of the other festivals are going to do that, so we'll see. Maybe I'll do more of that kind of stuff in time. I don't know. I haven't seen other people's workshops recorded at HexFest. Not sure how that works. What is this? What does a 12th natal sun mean to you? Again, are you new here? Were you here a minute ago? Astrology is not my thing. If I have astrology questions beyond the astrology that I need to conduct a spell, I ask Marta over here.
What's it saying, the 12th natal sign?
It's about what's the 12th natal sign mean to you? Pisces? It's Pisces, I guess. Marta says Pisces. I'm gonna go with that.
I don't know if I understand the question.
Yeah, I barely read the whole question.
First one is Aries and last one is Pisces.
Yeah. I mean, I want to know where the moon is. I want to know where the planets are, for the purposes of brewing magical products and or making a spell. I don't know already. I brew in adherence to magical brewing techniques, adhering to, I'm the only one brewing them. So I do that. I also brew them in the order they were received. I think it's better that way. I brew in your name. I have no backstock. When it comes to oils, incenses, that kind of thing from the grove, I brew it when you order it, in the order they were received, adhering to magical timing. It takes a while, but it's better stuff, I think, than getting stuff from the cult clearinghouse. But only the astrology necessary to do my job. And I have apps to tell me all the other shit. But as far as charts, natal charts, it's like, no, that's not my thing. That's it. I'm a unionist. And as a unionist my whole life, I don't do somebody else's job. I'll pick up litter on the street. I won't pick up litter at a parking lot or a theater. That's somebody's job. If I do their job, they won't need them for that job and they'll get fired. I never do the self-checkout at the supermarket when it's available. That's somebody's job. If I do their job for them, they're going to downsize those people and they're going to lose their jobs. So I'm not an astrologer, and I call them when I need those things. I stay in my lane, and my lane as a witch is rather broad, but there are places that are not my lane, and I don't go there. A couple other questions. How you do it? I don't know. How I do what? Somebody asked me how I do it. Wow. That's a very broad question, and some of that's none of your business. Thank God. But there was a couple other long-winded questions that I missed there. We're at 57 minutes. I'm going to get a couple more questions. Then I'm going to have to go do other things. We're doing Ask Uncle Birch, where I'm getting ready for my August 1st class, Year and a Day in Witchcraft. Started one in March. It filled up. Started one in May. Filled up. Now I'm starting one in August because they keep filling up. Do I teach Western ceremonial magic? Not specifically, but if you go to Ceremonial Magic School on Facebook, for some reason I'm an admin there, and I find myself schooling ceremonialists on their craft quite often as a witch. I'm not primarily a ceremonialist, though my core tradition was steeped in ceremonial magic. I spent much time with Thelemites and OTO members and that kind of stuff. And the craft I teach had a lot of that. The circle that I start my students with, is the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, one of the older lesser banishing rituals of the pentagram, where you do the earth banishing pentagrams counterclockwise around the circle, and then you do clockwise and invoke the 4 different pentagrams for invoking the quarters. So a lot of ceremonial magic, because I recognize that the original circles that witches started with were borrowed from ceremonial magic. In your own things, if you create a thing based off an older thing, you also get the energy of the older thing, i.e. everybody that ever believed the powers of those people. When I go like that to invoke air, I've just called all of the people that ever invoked air. That a couple of questions I missed there. I'll do 2 more. Then I gotta go. See, this is why you should have copied your question. It's a good idea to build a sympathetic link to a place, forest, etc. LBR, meditation of the elements. Yes. Sympathetic magic is the most common of all magics, and I find sympathetic magic practice in every magical school that there is. I get into trouble sometimes when I say on hoodoo sites that all magics that I've seen are following the same magical laws. Those magical laws would be the Hermetic laws of magic. Not that Hermes created them. Hermes wrote them down. The problem, unfortunately, with a lot of these hoodoo people, like all the new witches out there that want to act like an expert, is lack of education. Hermes. If we trace Hermes and Hermetics we end up in Egypt. Egypt, as you might know, is part of Africa. That is not stepping on the toes of your hoodoo ancestors or your ATRs to say that you too, you hoodoo people, you voodoo people, you poleros, all of you are following the laws of Hermetic magic. Like attracts like. Every time you make a likeness and put it on an altar or a sacred space to attract the likeness of that thing. Anytime you make a doll of a person, you are practicing sympathetic magic. Anytime you do a magic on a thing that represents another thing, you are doing sympathetic magic, and that takes us back to Hermes. It is not taking anything away from you people. Again, like with many schools of magic, if you just stop being butthurt for a minute when Uncle Birch pisses you off, just shut the fuck up and I'll teach you something. When I banish a person into one ritual, do I have to invoke another one? Yes. For all things. That's for all things. When you banish, you must invoke. Nature abhors a vacuum. If you take something from her, she'll move to put it back. In all things, if you take away a curse and don't put something in the place of that curse, she'll put the curse back. If you take away a person, she'll put that person back, or a person like that back with the same energy. When you banish, you must invoke. You cannot change the laws of physics. How often do you do these Q and answer questions? If you didn't subscribe, I don't even know how you knew that I was on here. But yes, you should subscribe. I do these pretty often. And I do these at random places. I was on Witchcraft and Wicca for Beginners before I came here. 25,000 followers. And bad time of day. I got no response. I get over here with 7,500 followers. And immediately we got an audience. So sometimes I do this. Sometimes I do it on my YouTube channel and my Facebook channel at the same time. Sometimes I pop up on different noob channels, wherever they'll let me do it. I'll just do that, and I never know when I'm going to do it. It's pretty random. So yes, you should subscribe. Somebody was saying they had a question. I can't scroll back through the questions. You give it your shot here. You can maybe be the last question, but I said I'd do one more. So whoever gets the next question in, that'll be it until next time. So glad we have this time together, just to have a laugh or sing a song. Seems we just get started. Then before you know it, comes the time we have to say so long. If you got that reference, you're fucking old. Can I use the 7-color candle for a transformation ritual? Absolutely. Absolutely, and that's some of the best things for the 7-color candle. I don't know what to say to that. Okay. Thank you for joining us. You can find many answers to these questions. Yes, I'll be on Wittershins in a couple hours at Spreaker.com/user/Wittershins. If you want to catch it live, it appears here on YouTube about an hour later. Do I use Hecate? Okay, last question. Nobody uses Hecate. All right? Hecate, not to be fucked with. I work with Hecate. She's my original patron goddess. I do what she tells me to fucking do. And I learned never to make her repeat it a third time. The bitch slap of Hecate, when she has to repeat herself a third time, you don't want it. Uncle Birch, I'm gonna leave you with that. Have fun, y'all.